and it's returning it as an integer value. So this is what my blueprint for this human class is going to look like. The next step, after I've defined my methods and created the attributes, I now need to write the implementation of these methods. Let's look at that. So these were the attributes and the methods that we've just looked at. Now we're focusing on the implementation of those. In order to get the methods that we've defined, in order to get them to be written for us, if we press Control, Shift, and C, then Delphi will automatically generate these for us. Seeing that we've already written the definition of the methods, Delphi understands it and it's able to create the heading together with a begin and an end for each of those methods. All that's left for us to do is to now write the code within each of the methods. So let's do that. In the constructor, you will recall that we had a parameter for the name where we said we're going to bring in the name and we're going to bring in the age. If you're confused where we're going to bring them in from, well, remember, we are defining the unit. At some point, we're going to be on the form side. So the names we will get from our form. We will get the names from our form, and the name and the age will be sent from the form. It will then be received by the create constructor. It will receive the name and the age, and it then assigns the name and the age to the attribute. Recall, we said that the purpose of the constructor is to assign or initialize values to the attributes. If we look at the function getAge, recall the purpose of this function was to return the attribute, in this case, the age. So the way a function returns a value, it does so using the result, which is a reserved word, and result is then assigned the value that we want to return. Set the age, this is a procedure. We need to bring in the value that we want to set it to. That value, again, where are we getting it from? That's going to come from the form. The value will be sent in, and then that age is assigned to the attribute fAge. The toString, we said this was going to be used for output purposes. Because it's a function, we use result again, and we assign result. Here, I'm just putting in headings. So these are just two headings. And after the heading, I display the actual attribute, which is fName. I then display the fAge. You will notice that because I'm returning a string value, the function is returning a string. When I use fAge, I make use of an IntToStr. Now this will result in an error if you try running the program using IntToStr. Recall when we created this unit, it was a blank unit. It didn't even have any users section. From a previous video, you will remember that in order to use IntToStr, we need to import a library. This is contained inside of a library called sysutils. In a normal project, sysutils is automatically imported for us, but in this instance, it's not. So we would need to go to our interface. In our interface section, we will put in a users, and under users, we will put down sysutils. And once we have imported this library, now we can make use of IntToString, and that will not result in any error. So the IntToString requires the library sysutils, and this needs to be in the users section. Once the name, the age are put together, notice I've got a hash 13. The hash 13 is going to create a new line for me. So each heading will be on a new line, and that value will be returned. And since the value is returned, I can easily use that in a rich edit to display the headings together with the values. The last function that we required in our blueprint was the age in 10 years. That was a function. So again, I'm going to make use of result to return. I'm simply taking the age, adding 10 to it, and that value will be returned. At this stage, the blueprint is now created.